Today I'm going to do HBO Max Picks. These are picks or recommendations from the streaming service HBO Max. I pick a different streaming service every week to talk about and give you picks from it. I'm going to have a special guest on here, Dom Griffin, who also does a YouTube channel called the Armchair Auteur. It is actually a really great channel. Not enough people talk about it, really, unfortunately. He did a great video about the show Mantis, which I'm actually a fan of from the 90s. It was really cool. But check out the Armchair Auteur. It is a really great YouTube channel. But he's here to give recommendations. He has some cool ones. But before we get to that, let's get into Mantis. Was a cool show. Not enough people talk about it. Here are my recommendations for HBO Max. They do have a plethora of stuff, and I did feel like, especially after Dom Griffin's picks, I felt a little insecure. I was like, I should really try to come up with different stuff. So I hope I try to do that within here, and get you clued into some cool ones throughout the streaming service, because they have a lot of obscure stuff. They have a lot of different stuff. They have a lot of stuff you'd forgotten about. It's actually a good streaming service. I do like it. We don't use it as much because it's hard to hook up to the TV. It's just a whole thing, and it's just get it on Roku, HBO Max. I'd love you more if you did. But we actually use it on the iPad. It still gets used, which says a lot for a streaming service that's difficult to figure out how to use, that we still use it as much in our household. But here are my picks. First off, they have The Fugitive. My wife watched it recently. I only got to watch clips of it, but The Fugitive is really great. And it's on there. If you've never seen The Fugitive, it is a remake of a TV show, and now it's a Quibi. So if you watch the Quibi, which I'm sure everyone who's watching this has, you can watch The Fugitive. They also have Class Action Park. I talked about this on a previous Movie Crap. I had watched it. If you've watched the Defunctland or any other YouTube videos or things about Action Park, it's a good documentary, actually, because they do it in a different way than all those that are more factually based. I'm not saying this is making up stuff. It's more of an oral history, which I think it was a smarter way to do it, because people were telling me you should see Action Park, and I was like, I don't really, I kept feeling I didn't want to. Then when I did, I actually liked it because it was different from all those other things. So if you feel like, I would actually recommend it. It's very much more of an oral history thing, but I thought they did a great job with it, and it gets very serious by the end. Class Action Park was really great, and that's an HBO Max exclusive. The Honeymoon Killers, which is a kind of a cool, it's actually, I believe, where Doris Roberts came from, but it's a cool film about this guy who basically he marries people, goes on honeymoon, or no, he's on a honeymoon with someone. Anyway, it's about two people who kill a lot of people. It's in black and white. It's a cool movie. I clearly do not remember it very well, but it's a fun movie I watched in college. I remember being a little surprised more people don't talk about it. But it's basically about a couple who, this one guy goes on kind of Lothario things with these women, and him and his girlfriend then kill people. So it's pretty neat. Not enough people talk about it. It's on there. Blood Simple is the Coen Brothers' first film. It is one of the great crime movies of American cinema. If you've never seen that, that is on there. Also, on the Turner Classic Movie side, we have Giant. Giant is, I think, the last James Dean film released. It is a really great movie. It's an epic long of a film. It has Elizabeth Taylor. It has Rock Hudson. It's directed by a Hollywood director. I really like George Stevens. It is a great epic about a farm and a guy who discovers oil and what happens to James Dean's character. It's far more epic and crazy than you have any idea, but it's just, any time I watch it, I've always loved the experience of it. I think it is a great film about America and the West and all this stuff. It's just wonderful. So if you've never seen Giant, it's long, but it is goddamn worth it. You can just take time, watch an hour every day or something. Definitely check out Giant. I'm a big George Stevens fan. Also, it has The Adventures of Robin Hood, which I think is one of the great Hollywood adventure films, and I really do mean that. If you're not into classic cinema, or if you're into either superhero movies or just a great adventure film, watch The Adventures of Robin Hood. If you've ever wondered why do people like Errol Flynn, it is 100% this movie. I grew up with this movie. I watched it recently for my birthday. The colors pop. It is one of the greatest films ever shot in Technicolor. It is literally amazing. It is one of the greatest films ever made. I'm not joking. I just love this movie. It is by far the greatest Errol Flynn film. It's directed by Michael Curtiz. Just you could take a bath in the amazing Technicolor. It's just, I love this film. I'm just going to rattle off a few here. First, I saw tonight when I went to recheck and put some more stuff on here because I cheated. I'm sorry. is The Invisible Man is now on HBO Max. Not the new one that came out in 2020, which I was just thinking, like, wow, I saw Invisible Man in theaters this year in 2020. 2020 feels long, but The Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss, which is a great movie. I really liked it. Is on HBO Max. So if you didn't get to see it, it's on there right now. They also still have Primal. I don't think I'm doing another HBO Max recommendation until Primal premieres. So if you've not seen Primal, I think I've recommended it before, and you want to catch up, the 5 first episodes are on HBO Max. They do not have the April Fool's Day episode, but they do have the previous 5. So check those out. It is an amazing show. Just won a bunch of juried Emmys, which I think means it's better than a regular Emmy. I don't know. Anyway, they also have Off the Air. So if you really want to get into some weird surrealism with Adult Swim, I've liked Off the Air for a long time. I haven't watched any of the newer episodes, but the older episodes, I remember thinking, like, wow, this is insane. I should do a review of that next time there's a time zone shift, but I guess I can't do that because I put out this on anyway. Off the Air is a favorite of mine. They also have Home Movies, which is, it's one of the great comedy drama kind of Adult Swim shows. One of the best animated sitcoms there ever has been. I wanted to review more Looney Tunes shorts, and then I realized, like, there's a lot of Looney Tunes shorts I know certain gags in, I don't know the names of, so I just went for What's Opera Doc. But much like I've done with Disney Plus, I want to eventually do more of the shorts on here. So next time I do that, I will do that. But What's Opera Doc's on there. I do recommend going through the Looney Tunes. You can watch all these classic Looney Tunes shorts in great restored quality. It's wonderful. If you ever wanted to get more into the Looney Tunes, they have a whole playlist for the Roadrunner and Coyote. Those I really don't remember the names of each individual one. I just remember gags, and I need to pick out a few next time. Anyway, sorry. Porco Rosso is on the Studio Ghibli side. I'm just picking a random one, but I've always liked Porco Rosso. I need to rewatch it. Maybe we'll watch that as a family. That's a fun one. People sort of forget about that one. They also have American Splendor. Since we were talking about underground comics with hate, might as well talk about Harvey Pekar. I really like American Splendor. I think it's a great film. It holds up to rewatches way better than I ever thought it would. And Paul Giamatti gives a great performance. The Late Shift, which is a TV movie from HBO. They actually have it. I was so excited when I accidentally stumbled across it when I was searching for things to recommend. It is about the Jay Leno, David Letterman fight for The Late Show. It is. I've watched it so many times on Comedy Central. I don't even know if it's that good. I just grew up with it so often. You should definitely check that out. They also have Little Shop of Horrors, which is the Rick Moranis version, which, since we were talking about Rick Moranis, I thought I would recommend it. I would also say, try to check out the original. It's sort of bad, but it's a comedy in itself. But watching the musical, I need to rewatch that. That's a great one. Maybe we'll rewatch that for Halloween. That's a wonderful movie, especially if they're supposedly remaking it, but whatever. And then finally, and I know everyone I guess I have 2. Then finally I have 2. I know I recommend these a lot. Fast 5, it's the best Fast and Furious movie. If you ever wondered, why is the Fast and Furious, why do people ironically like this? If you've never done it, just see Fast 5, have a beer with it, you'll laugh, you'll cry. I still think it's the best Fast and Furious movie. It's a fun, dumb movie. I know I'm recommending a dumb Fast and Furious movie. You take away all my film credit or whatever. And then finally, The Sopranos is on HBO Max. It's one of the greatest dramas of all time, and you probably should have seen it at this point. So I definitely recommend seeing The Sopranos if you never have, and I'm sure most of you have, but it seems like there's more and more people who haven't. It's seriously, like, it doesn't matter if you like mob stuff or not. You should check out The Sopranos. Anyway, now we're going to go to Dom, the Armchair Auteur, and see his HBO Max picks. And they're pretty good, and I'm excited for you to see them. He has some good ones. I'm jealous, actually. But here, you can listen to his HBO Max picks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dom Griffin. I'm a film critic, and I'm from the Armchair Auteur. It's an ongoing video series on YouTube where I talk about movies, screenplays, story structure, things like that. So I am really happy to be here on the show, and I'm going to be talking about ideas for things you can watch on HBO Max. Now, HBO Max is, I think, one of the more underrated streaming services that's out there, for the main reason that most other competitors to HBO Max feature a lot of stuff with a big recency bias, a lot more mainstream fare, a lot of newer movies, and they tend to act like anything made like 20 years ago doesn't exist. And I think that HBO Max has a really unique blend of original content in the sense that you can find like some classic movie from the 40s right alongside something from the DC Comics branded content era. And because it's such a new service, so many people don't really realize how many good gems there are on the site. So I'm going to show you 5 movies and TV shows I think people should check out that I think you'll really dig. My first pick is the 1991 film Cast a Deadly Spell, which is sort of a film noir pastiche set in a world where magic is real. So it's a movie that I guess the elevator pitch would be like Chinatown meets Harry Potter. Fred Ward plays a private eye named H. Philip Lovecraft, who gets caught up in a whole, web of typical film noir stuff. But there's magic and like monsters and stuff. It is a really, really killer movie. It's directed by Martin Campbell, who reinvented the entire James Bond franchise, not once, but twice. And he brings like a real sort of sturdy craft to the film. And it's a good, dramatically satisfying movie that also features a lot of fun genre stuff. And like no one talks about it. Like it's a really good movie. It's just sitting there on HBO Max to watch. If this is a Just World, it'll probably be remade today as some sort of like prestige drama. But I think more people should see it. It's truly fantastic. Over the TV side, the one I'm going to recommend is a TV series called Close Enough, which is the follow-up to J.G. Quintel's hit Cartoon Network series Regular Show. If you are a fan of Regular Show, you will like Close Enough. Regular Show is much more about the trials and tribulations of being in your early 20s and working a job you hate, whereas Close Enough transposes all those early 20-something preoccupations over to being in your 30s and starting a family and becoming an adult and a father and things of that nature. And I think it's actually a better show. There's way fewer episodes in Regular Show. There's only like 8 episodes in the service, but because the characters are like actual humans and not like animal creatures, it automatically builds in more of a sincerity of its themes, and it's still really funny. It still has the same structure as Regular Show. It still goes completely off the rails every 20 minutes, but it is a really fun show. It's really sweet, it has great voice acting, and it's one of the best things I've binged all year. Back over to the movie side, another movie I have to recommend is 2000's In the Mood for Love from writer-director Wong Kar-wai. Wong Kar-wai is one of my favorite personal filmmakers, and In the Mood for Love is arguably the best film he ever made. It is this beautifully photographed, brilliantly acted, very, 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 very affecting romantic tragedy, and it's a perfect movie. If you're not familiar with Wong Kar-wai's work, I suppose it might make more sense for you to start by watching the film Chungking Express, which is a little more accessible, a little more fun. But In the Mood for Love is like perfect, and it's actually more indicative of the rest of his filmography. So like the fact that it's just sitting here on the service and it's like one of the best films ever made, definitely watch it. There's no way you will come out of it not crying at some point. It's a tortured love story about 2 people who fall in love after finding out that their significant others are having an affair, and it's just beautiful. Back to TV again, I think a really good choice of something fun you can watch and binge pretty easily is Stephen Moffat's Coupling, a BBC sitcom that is essentially the American TV show Friends if it was like an actual, really well staged, really well acted farce. Coupling is a really funny show, and it's actually kind of the best thing Stephen Moffat has ever written. Like, it's definitely better than everything he did on Sherlock and on Doctor Who later on in his career, because it's a lot more consistent, it's funnier, it's a little more heartfelt, and it's just a lot more dramatically satisfying in my opinion. It's sort of like what he probably should have like stuck to doing, and the cast is great, every episode's really funny, but also like really relatable and really touching and inventive. Like, they do a lot of really exciting things with the actual storytelling structure, so totally watch Coupling, fantastic show. For my final pick, I was going to pick something from sort of the Turner Classic Movies quarter of HBO Max, because there's so many good movies from the black and white era that people from our generation maybe take for granted. But I saw a different kind of classic movie while I was scrolling through HBO Max's offerings, and that movie's Commendo. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Commendo is essentially one of his best and dumbest movies ever. It is not very well written or directed necessarily. There's like tons of like open gaffes in the film, but it is so funny. It's so perfect. And it's one of the best things Arnold's ever done. Like, I can probably quote Commendo front to backward. A lot of you can too. And if you can't, you should watch an HBO Max so you can join the hordes of people who are lowering their personal standards to enjoy this kind of movie. That's it for me. Thanks, Jim, for having me on. Hope you guys like some of these titles. Have a great day.
Hey! Okay, thank you very much, Dom, for being on the show. Those were great picks. I need to check out that magic thing. That sounded actually really cool. And In the Mood for Love, and of course Close Enough. Thank you very much. Please subscribe to his channel, the Armchair Auteur. Really great YouTube channel. I really like the Mantis video itself, but he's really great. You should subscribe like right now if you haven't, and follow him on Twitter as well. He's a really great critic. And those were some good recommendations. Seriously, I was jealous of his recommendations. They were good. In the Mood for Love is a classic. I was like, oh, I better up my game. I don't know. Anyway, before I finish things off. A lot of people in the chat keep asking me to recommend Infinity Train. I feel like most of you who watch this channel know about Infinity Train, but if for some reason you didn't, book 1, 2, and 3 are all on HBO Max. Try to watch them right now. Anyway, if you need something to watch, try to use these recommendations since everyone's still not entirely out of quarantine. So we have now given you some stuff to watch, to stay home and watch on one of the better, more interesting streaming services, which is HBO Max. Thank you very much for watching, and in the comments of this video, tell me something that you recommend to watch on HBO Max.